the thing about timing, of which this is all related to comedy too, it's the space that you don't do anything.
Right.
That's what creates it. That's what creates where you hit, is
Yeah.
how much time you let pass.
Greetings, everyone. Come on in and have a seat up front for the Funny Muscle Podcast. If you're here, then you're looking to learn how to create laughs like a pro. So please help me welcome to the stage your co-host to help you do that, economics professor and open micer Chris Stifler and comedian turned author Mike Lucas.
There he is.
Yo, what's up?
Hey, nice. Good to see you, my man.
Dude, good man. What are you up to?
Not
Haven't seen
much.
you in
This
a
is my
long time.
my partner Chris. This is
Oh,
Tim.
hi, Chris. Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was just thinking because you did Blue Man Group and you are a
Right.
drummer, you know a lot about timing, and I know a lot about comedic timing, and I thought we could have a conversation
Yes.
comparing the two. Cool. I think that'd be nice, and I give you credit for having some comedic timing also by working the Blue Man Group because you guys had to. Well, I'll tell you about that when we talk about it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I don't think of you as just a musical guy. I also think of you as a bit of a comic too because of your experience in that.
Oh,
This
and I was in your stand-up class too.
oh, that's right. Oh my God, I totally forgot you took my stand-up class. I
I
actually
did.
yes,
I'm
yes,
trained,
pretty
dude.
good.
Trained by you and Jason and Kay.
That's right. That's right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That whole time period is a distant memory for me. All right, well let me
It's
introduce you.
wild.
This next gentleman we have along with us on the Funny Muscle podcast is one of my old friends. I know him from Vegas. He was a former drummer of Primus. He is a former drummer of the Blue Man Group. He also had his own bands called Laundry and Sound Cipher. He's known for his polyrhythmic playing. Please welcome Tim Alexander.
Hey,
Woo!
hey.
Anytime we edited in a whole bunch of applause there.
All right.
First of all, good to see you. I hadn't seen you in a
Yeah,
while.
man.
I hadn't seen you since you and I were working in Vegas together. I was at Second City and you were at Blue Man Group,
Right.
which the idea
Right.
of Blue Man Group having a drummer like you, there was the musicians that were on your side were at extremely high level. Tell me about that. Tell me
Yes.
about your foray into comedy.
Well, at the time when I joined Blue Man Group, I was going through a period of kind of not wanting to play drums. And then I ended up going to see the show, and it was just so powerful. And it's mostly drumming through the whole show.
Yeah.
And so it really, hit me being a drummer. I really loved it. And then, but I had no idea that they could do the comedic element without saying anything. I didn't even know it was a comedy show in a sense. And but after seeing it, it was really, really cool, and it really got me inspired, to join. And then they were having auditions, and so at the time, I wasn't playing in any other bands, and I wanted to change in my career, and so that's when I ended up going to Vegas to audition. Well, at first I auditioned in San Francisco here,
Oh, no kidding.
and
They were
then and
traveling and
they
people.
what was that?
They were traveling and picking up people. Is that how they
Yeah,
found?
they were going to different cities and having auditions. And so they did one here in San Francisco, and then I went to it, and then I got a call back to go to Vegas. So went and did another one there, and and then they liked me and thought I could do the job because it is a very demanding type of drumming. Um,
Yeah, talk about that. Talk
you,
about what the difference is
yeah,
between being the syncopated drummer of Primus to going to being a comedic drummer. And you guys weren't funny.
yeah.
You weren't like your drumming wasn't funny. It wasn't like you were trying to make laughs by doing.
No, the comedy was in the Blue Man.
Yeah.
They did the comedy. I was up doing part of the drum. We had like seven drummers all at once, but three were Blue Man, so there were four other drummers playing all the time. And so the difference is you've got three other ones to listen to make sure you're in sync and that your timing is aligned with everyone else. And the drumming is very different in terms of they used they used more rhythmic patterns. They didn't play like a beat, like drum beats that most people are familiar with.
Right.
Ours were in Blue Man was rhythmic patterns and just like powerful. And they wanted, because it was a live thing, they wanted the performance to look visually stimulating as well. So in my bands, I'm very much into my space and I'm just doing my thing, and doing it here. And I don't show and do a bunch of stuff.
Right.
That was the biggest challenge for me because in Blue Man, they want everything big and visual because you're in a live audience and their audience is pretty far. So everything has to be big to, when you hit a drum, it has to look like this, not this,
Really?
big difference. Yeah, you have to be huge with all your motions and your energy is always up. And that's where I started learning about the performance side of it in terms of entertaining or being visually interesting,
Huh.
not just audio. How would you say that? Not audio. I don't know the word.
Yeah, yeah, but I
But
get what
just
you're saying.
just
Yeah.
but it's not just for the ears, it's for the eyes. And in Blue Man Group, they not only are you hearing, but you're seeing and you're reading, and they really get you engaged. And that's how, is by making it visually something. So the performance aspect of it is using a lot of the senses.
And you guys had to dress up with like a skeleton looking black and white outfit against
Yeah,
with the
they had
black
these
light.
suits. Yeah, they had suits that had these kind of glow in the dark stripes on
It's
them,
cool. That
and the
was so
suits were
cool.
black. So you look like a stick figure, but then we painted our face with makeup. So we did like it looks kind of like tribal war paint,
Yeah.
like you might imagine, a glow in the dark war paint. So it looks like a mask almost on your
And there's like
face.
20 of you all dressed up like that and all bouncing around under the black light or however many.
Yeah, seven drummer. At that time, there were seven drummers, eight, nine. So probably around 9 or 10 people up there at once. And yeah, everyone's moving. It's about the energy. Oh, I was going to say the energy is conveyed not only through the drumming, which helps propel that power, but it's the visual of seeing it all happening with energy.
Yeah. And would you say that, because I know you went on to drum for Primus for a little while longer after that,
After that, yeah.
would you say that the visual element of your drumming changed, or was that stuff too sophisticated to show all that physicality?
Well, after doing Blue Man and seeing that the theater aspect of it, which was you're there to entertain. I think in my head, all these previous years, I never really looked at it like I was there to entertain people. I've always thought it was like people are coming to see me play. And so that shed new light on it that, you know, they want to see you do your thing, but also it is a performance, it's a
Right.
stage. And so there's a difference between just playing your music and playing it and making sure everyone feels it.
Yeah.
So it affected me looking at it like that, and I even tried to incorporate some black light stuff and things I was doing
Cool.
because it was so amazing to just have that visual treatment on whatever was happening. So because you could turn anything black does not get seen, and then anything that lights up under a black light appears. And I'm sure
Including
you've
your
seen
yeah,
those
including your
those.
spilled salad dressing and stuff like that. There's
Oh yeah, oh
any
yeah,
stain that you
oh
had. That's I got busted on
yeah.
that all the time from black lighting.
Oh shit. Oh yeah. I know. We used to have you guys come in.
Yep.
We were allowed to have a guest,
It was so
and
cool.
so yeah, like Jason would come and sit behind us while we're drumming, up in the rafters, you know, and
I
they
would
had to
I'd
be
go
in
up there
all
too.
black.
Yeah,
And
I was
you
up
were
there
up
too. I
there?
was up there on shrooms.
Oh no, come on, really?
I was up on shrooms, and Jeffrey Brown knew it. And Jeffrey Brown was one of the Blue Men, and he's a former guest
Yeah,
of the show. And he played to me like he knew I was on shrooms, so he kept looking up at me, and while he was on stage, and it was the weirdest thing in the world. It was like the show was for me.
really?
It
Oh
was
wow,
great.
that's cool. That's
Now,
awesome.
when you were with Blue Man Group, comedy and percussion were like literally fused together. Did you notice comics and drummers using the same tricks to misdirect and surprise? Would you say that's a tactic?
The show itself, the comedy was definitely written so that you had to make it funny in your head.
Right.
It wasn't about so that could be the misdirection, or you know
Sure.
the real funny is happening in your head because you're making it funny, because what they're doing is they use the audience as part of the humor, and they let the audience make it funny.
Interesting.
Especially you remember when they did
Yeah.
the Twinkie thing when they sit at the table, and that was all natural human reactions, just giving something and then letting the real human come out, and then that's what made people laugh. It wasn't like, oh,
Right.
we're gonna do a joke, you know.
No, and
It
it
was
was,
the realness is what was
yeah,
funny.
it was their innocence. Like
Yeah,
it was as if everything that came upon them was brand new to them, like they were alien babies.
yeah. I think that's the principle. Is you don't know if that little Twinkie's going to explode or kill you, or you don't know what it
You know
is,
what
you
it is.
know.
And in some
That's
ways
how
it does.
and then yeah, it can later, huh? But also that was the Blue Man approach to everything, you know, was everything is just they don't know what it is. So they are like this little child in the world, and they discover.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that might be a comedy kind of method, you know, getting the audience to discover and then
Yes.
realize things, and then you work it, you know, once they're
Well,
in there.
that's part of the gift of a comic is we allow the audience to put the pieces together in their head. And then that's when they say,
Yeah,
get it. I get it. Because
right,
like,
right.
in other words, the pieces came together for me and I see what the connection that you were trying to draw.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel like the Blue Man Show was. It
Yeah.
was all about that. It was all about that. And they took it to new levels. You know, they had comedy, but they also had just visually amazing processes and visuals, you
Yeah.
know, that came to life. You know, the wiremen. Do you remember the wiremen that just they look like they were on a screen, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
they step
They would
off
just
and
step
start
off and then
walking?
you're like, what?
Yeah, yeah, man, that was
Yeah.
cool.
It was very cool. It
Really
must have
cool.
been neat to be a part of that, like as an
It
experience.
was.
Yeah, yeah. And you guys got highly paid, and that was nice too. Us Second City people were
Yeah.
always jealous of your paychecks. We were always like,
Uh,
man,
Not
you
mine, dude. Not mine. I moved there in 2000, so I was new. Some of those other
Wow.
guys we knew, they were there for like 10 years.
Oh, that's it. And
They
a
were
lot of
they were making some good bucks, but the new guys were you're
they're
at the bottom. Yeah.
like, but I played for Primus. I was with Les Claypool, and they're like, I don't care.
Yeah, I thought it could matter, but yeah, it doesn't.
Well, you're used to probably playing with musicians that drag the beat sometimes, and I guess that's why they have the
Yeah.
click track and everything. But in comedy, we have comics that step on their own punchlines. How do you know
Mm.
someone is too early or too late? Is it gut? Is it ear? Is it experience? Like what how do you base it? Or do you have a click track? What's your rhythmic basis?
Well, playing in time, when you almost all of my bands, we never use click tracks. The only time we have was in I played with Pussifer, that band that Maynard has,
Right.
and Maynard and I started it, and he we didn't use a click track when we recorded the first song, and that was all me just doing it by feel. But the I for me when I play, I push and pull the tempo a lot. So if I'm moving to a more energetic part, I usually speed it up a little bit. And it's kind of a natural thing for me. But if I'm playing to a click track and I go to a more energetic part and I have to stay on the click, I can feel the energy is just not quite the same. And you could do this. You can do this on like one I've noticed is like listening to Led Zeppelin. Back then they didn't use click tracks. You know, they just played and they recorded jams. But you could hear if you just like click on the first 20, 30 seconds and listen to the groove and then go like 3/4 in and then listen, see how similar they are. You might on some songs there's a big difference, and but that's a natural energy that happens when there's emotion behind it. So I in the everything I've done has mostly been emotion based.
Okay.
You know, it's all feel. Blue Man, we had we heard each other, but we always followed the lead drummer. So wherever he was going, you stayed with it. And if he starts speeding up, then you go with it.
Okay.
Or if he's slowing down, then everyone's got to slow down too. You cannot separate. But for
Interesting.
myself, just doing shows by myself, I don't usually use a click track unless there's other tracks that no one's playing, you know, like we're playing to a playback. So you're playing along to something.
Right.
But in terms of jumping on the punchline, like how do you is that just coming in too early? You know, like yes, for drummers you can feel like if someone's speeding up as it's going, you're like, hey, wait a minute, you know,
Right.
you got to pull it back, pull it back. You can sense it changing in little micro timing stuff. You can feel
Probably
it.
that we don't, as an audience, even notice
No,
unless
you
we're
don't.
musicians. No.
Yeah, you won't notice, I don't think. But when you're playing, you know, your job is to just be just at least for me, I'm hearing everything at once. So if I hear the guitar players playing notes that aren't landing when I'm hitting, then I know he's ahead or behind. So then I have to decide, am I going to which person am I going to lock into? And usually it was the bass player, me and the
Yeah.
bass locking in, and he would just have to try to stay with us. But sometimes what he was doing was something I would follow. So it's really for me was about having the attention of what's happening with everybody. And so with you guys doing stand up, or it's probably having that awareness of the whole audience. You know, you're talking and doing your thing, but you're
Exactly.
probably hearing what everyone's saying or doing, and
Yeah,
then
you're
you know when to shut up and wait, you
right.
know, right?
You're
And then
listening to the other musicians. We're listening to the
yeah,
audience. And when you step on a joke, it
yes.
means you either you said it too quickly and the audience wasn't ready to laugh yet, or you waited too long and the audience didn't put it together. And so, but typically it's you step too early. But
Yeah, yeah.
you have to ignore the
That's
audience.
typically too with music. Everyone's going too fast because of the
Right.
energy live, you know?
Yeah. I always feel bad for the drummer when the audience starts clapping and they start keeping the
Oh,
beat. And then it's like, you idiots, you don't know how
yeah,
to keep
no,
a
you're just
beat.
like, no, 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 I can't hear this. I can't hear this. I've done that. I've had to like turn my monitors off because I don't want to hear the audience. I'm getting lost now. I've got to like pay attention.
You
It's
know,
yeah, yeah.
you're dragging,
And
you're
that
dragging.
dude, well, the thing about timing, of which this is all related to comedy too, it's the space that you don't do anything.
Right.
That's what creates it. That's what creates where you hit, is
Yeah,
how much time you let pass. So the space of where nothing is happening, that's where everything is happening.
that's
People are putting your
interesting.
jokes together in the space. Drummers, where that's telling us whether we're speeding up or slowing down. And
Yeah.
that's creating an energy shift in that space. So,
It's just incredible that you're able to. and I guess the comic has to do that too, but keep the rhythm going. There's a we what we do is we train the audience to laugh at a certain point. And
Right.
I always tell the story of Drew Carey came in and said, "Watch what I can do. I'll say any word you tell me, and once I get the rhythm going, and I'll say a weird word." And we gave him a weird word, and the audience will laugh at it, even though they don't know what they're laughing at, because I've built the timing into it. And sure enough, he gets up there
Wow.
and he gets the timing going, he gets them trained, and all of a sudden he's da 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 watermelon. And it had nothing to do with anything. And the crowd burst into laughter because they figured it was just part of his joke. And that timing was essential to him.
Wow. That is. It really is. I wonder how much of that is the audience kind of putting his level of comedy in their heads already.
Yeah.
Like if an unknown guy was up there and just blurted out watermelon, do you think it would have the same impact, even though his timing was great, you know?
Well, if his timing was great, I would argue that it would work. But because what happens with famous people and their comedy is they get about 3 minutes of credit from the audience, and then once you start
Okay.
wasting their time, the audience turns on. I've seen them turn on famous people like you wouldn't believe.
Really?
Yeah, and they're just mad that this person is wasting their time, especially if the person is drunk or is all affected. That would make it even
Right.
worse. But if they're
Right.
not funny, they get upset because they thought this was going to be something special.
Yeah, because they're so well known for their humor, right?
Right.
And you cannot not
Right.
deliver.
You can't not deliver. And a lot of times
Yeah.
these people are delivering in a different way. They might be a more actor or a more a musician,
Right.
and they don't know how to deliver comedically, and they run out of steam.
Right. Right.
Chris, you got a
Right.
question?
I don't know what click tracks are, but it sounds like it's like when a comedian just memorizes their script and just does it by the word versus like play by feel, where you make the audience kind of feel more like part of the show, more unique. Is that right? Is it easier to do click track for a younger drummer, and then once you get more confidence, you can kind of play by feel and give a more richer experience?
I think you can have a feel from the beginning for sure. The click track is mostly to keep the people on stage together. The click track is not for the audience unless there's all this other music that's in the song but is not being played live. That's what the backing tracks are for, you know? And yeah, you know, you could do the same thing. You could do your joke, you could have it all timed out with, you know, we're going to wait 8 seconds and then we say this and then you press clap on your thing. That's like a click track, you know? The audience will hear it and go, oh, cool, it's perfect. But the feel thing, that's more about, well, maybe the audience needs 9 or 10 seconds, you know? Maybe they need 3 seconds. Maybe they're all drunk and fired up and are going,
Right.
and you got to keep them going. So that's that energy that you need to feel. And as a musician, you do feel it live. You do feel the energy when you walk out on a stage and it's like all the songs are fast. Like, why am I having so much hard time playing this? And then we listen to the recording of the show later and just go, holy shit, I'm playing everything twice as fast than the record. That's not the song. That's not how people know the song. And so it probably will sound terrible because it sounds like a different song, you know? And I've heard other bands do it. I've heard other bands where the song is real slow. Dun, 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 the Scorpions. And man, it's such a great song, a heavy groove, you know? And then when you play live, you don't, sometimes a lot of bands don't have the click track. They just don't need it. You know, they're just, we'll play the song. They don't realize what their own energy is doing to it. And now the song is like, boom, 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 boom. You know, when it
I was
should
like,
be
what are you
boom,
doing?
boom, go. Yeah, yeah, like boom, 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 where it makes your body just go heavy, you know? So That timing, man,
I was in
it
a
can
band.
totally change the feel.
I was in a band when I was younger, and I played the keyboards. And one of my jobs was to start the Toto song "Hold the Line." And I
Oh
remember,
yeah. Oh really?
yeah, and I remember we played live for the first time, and I went, and the drummer was like, "Whoa, whoa," and the drummer had to slow me down, and he literally like halved my timing, and I was like, "Sorry, sorry."
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's no restarting usually.
not Toto, not Told the Line. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
what about how this affects your personal life? Do you think musical timing helps you pick up on emotional timing in conversations, like knowing when to cut in, to lay back, to shift the mood? Like, does it cross over in your real world, in your own
I
comedy?
mean, I mean, I think it's everywhere. I think I'm really bad at it outside of the drums. I'm really bad at it. Like, they every time you're like talking with, you're having a conversation, then there's that natural pause and no one says anything. And then I always think about shit, I got to fill this space. I got to do something. Come to say something or something. That timing seems to, I don't know what it is. I don't know why it happens, but it's like a natural occurrence that happens. It happens a lot in multiple conversations, with other people. Like if you're three of you are sitting together and you're all, yeah, 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 depending on the people. But my timing's really bad for that.
That's funny.
Probably like, probably bad for comedy too.
No, when you took my class in Vegas, your timing was good, and your I remember you comedy being good. Now that you mentioned it, I remember you excelling at
Yeah,
it.
I did the whole. Did some of the drummer jokes, talking about drummers not getting their due. Being
Right.
cut off the cover of a magazine. And it's all the singers on the front, and he's like chopped off. You know, I,
It's
I was
like,
trying to make all that funny.
right. Or like in Spinal Tap where they all
Yeah.
self-implode.
Oh God.
All the drummers
Yes.
just get killed. That's how little they feel about them.
Yeah. Yeah. We're,
That's funny.
there's a lot of drummer drama out there.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, now, when you played for Primus, they're known for odd time signatures like 7/8, 13 16, that kind of chaos with the groove stuff. Does playing in a weird time feel more like a joke or a puzzle to you? Does it feel like your like that unpredictability can be kind of like the humor in
The
music?
only the only things we've done in that band, There Odd Times, I'd say we did we did a song in 5/4, meaning you could count five quarter notes per
Ooh.
measure. You could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we did. That's on Seas of Cheese. Here Comes the Bastards. It
Okay.
goes a bum 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 1, 2, 3, 4 dun dun 1, 2, 3, 4
Wow.
5 dun 1, 2, 3, 4 5. The key to any odd time, we do 5, 7s, and 11. Are I think it's probably the odd time signatures that we've had.
Okay.
The key to any of that is to find out where the pulse is in the song, and to find out where the backbeat is. That where do you give it that kick drum to the snare drum? The boom, ka, boom, ba. In an odd time, you can place it in weird spots because it's odd. It's odd timing, but the whole thing is to make it feel good, no matter how odd it is. And the key to the odd times is to simplify it, put it down to its basics, and then you can you can feel it better. In more advanced music, they'll get odd times going in like prog music and stuff, and then there's some crazily talented people out there who can solo and do stuff and all these weird timings that don't feel natural. And for us in the western part of the world, 4/4 is our feeling. You know, you count the four, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost every song you hear is based around that time
Right.
signature. But in other countries, a 5 or a 7, or like you said, a 13 in like Bulgarian wedding music, you know, or something, is that's a natural thing for them to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, that's natural. Like, oh yeah, we do that all day.
Right.
The more you repeat it, the more you can feel where the one's going to repeat again. And the more your body starts learning that, then now you're not counting anymore. And I never count when I play odd times. It's all about the pattern and what the melody is. So
Interesting.
keeping it all going in my head. So you're not counting, because the minute you start counting, you have no idea what's going on musically.
Oh,
And I mean, I can't. If I start counting, I will mess up and get lost. It's so weird. It's
that
so
is
weird. Yeah. Counting does not help. You have to count in the beginning to figure it out, but then you got to stop counting and just play how the music feels when you're doing it, and then that's what you repeat.
yeah, as comics, we're listening constantly to the rhythm of what our voice does versus what the audience does. And a lot of times,
Mm.
depending on how the audience responds, will depend on
Hmm.
how long the joke goes. You will add more material to it if they're really going for it. But if they don't go for it, you have to switch up. You know, all of a sudden you're switching into a new bit, and
Yeah.
it's
You got to be ready to improv, right? You got to be
got
ready to
to.
shift gears.
Yeah, because you just don't know what people are going to buy. Some people will just put it in third gear and just push through everything. But
Right.
I don't know. I think if you're really good, you want to supply the audience with a really solid show, and so you're adjusting your own rhythm to what they're giving you.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that's how it is musically too.
What about when you're improvising, like when you're doing a solo or whatever? How do you know when to bring it home? When we in comedy we call that sticking the landing. Is there a moment when your body goes now, pow, is that again feeling?
The fortunate thing, having an audience that, especially at my level where, there could be 15, 20,000 or 10,000 people there. It's like I could do anything, and everyone's like, "Yeah, all right." They're just glad, they're glad to be there.
Right.
And so
But
I
no, and
treat it.
to your own defense, what the things that you're doing are pretty fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes, sometimes it's
Well,
good.
to you, maybe not, they're not impressive, but or to other musicians, they might not be as impressive. But to the layman,
Yeah.
it's mind blowing, dude.
Yeah. So there's like in a drum solo, well, improving, like during songs, we do a lot of improving where the concept is to just kind of move into variations of what you're doing. And but with a drum solo, I like to look at it almost like a song. Like you start somewhere, and then you maybe go up a little bit and then come back down energy wise and sound wise and volume, go up again. And depending on how long you've been doing that, if you've been doing it, say, for like 1 minute, you might want to go longer. So then we got to keep it going for a little bit. Or if you're not feeling it, yeah, maybe 1 minute's enough. I'll just do whatever. But I always try to give the audience the big crescendo, where it's a lot of notes and all the craziness at the end.
Right.
You don't, you save the big punchline for the end.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know. Do you
yeah,
guys do that?
we build the same way. We're you got to get the laugh first of all. You've got to get them involved in the thing you're doing. But then
Right.
there's we call it heightening. And when you heighten,
Okay.
well, in comedy they say heightening is making it worse. So you take whatever emotion you're talking about and you heighten it, you make it worse. So if the guy's angry about something, you make why is he angry, and how angry does he get? And then you make it worse and worse and worse. And
Right.
you build to a crescendo as well.
Yeah, I think I remember you teaching us that about heightening. That rang a bell when you said that. I was like, oh wow, that
Oh,
word. Yeah. Yeah, it's heightening. It
it
is very
stuck. It
similar.
stuck.
Yeah, it did. And I've that's kind of what we do in music is we heighten. A good song will heighten. It'll go from the verse and it'll heighten, transition into the chorus
Yeah.
where everything's there, and then you bring it down, and that way you can heighten it again.
Right.
The classic example is the that I've been using recently, is the Nirvana, "Smells Like Teen Spirit." Just
Yeah.
one of the hugest pop rock songs, and that's all they do is they heighten, then they come down, then they heighten, then they come down, then they go into a solo and big chorus and out. So, you know, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, solo, ending
Right.
out. You just end on the big bam, it just ends.
That makes
So a
sense.
little bit of that, little bit of the wave, little bit of the hills and the valleys. And that's kind of in music, there's some science behind it too, about our brains expecting things in music because we're so used to hearing it. And I'm sure there's expectations in comedy.
Yeah.
And so when you see a guy like he just does the most ridiculous jokes, and I completely blanking on his name.
Oh, you'll think of it.
Uh,
We'll edit it in
ah,
later.
yeah, 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 really. Oh my God, why am I?
Bill Burr or something like that.
Yeah, no.
Inserted it.
Um, Neil Hamburger. Got it.
Oh, Neil Hamburger. Okay.
All right. So Neil just totally breaks all of the expectations because it's like that's not what you expect in the comedy realm that we've seen so often and heard so often. And sometimes it's shocking and just like some people just don't find it funny. But it's that a regular non performance, a non Neil Hamburger performance might have those arcs where you bring it up and you're down, and people expect that. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
People have the expectations of, oh, he's going to say something, there's going to be a punchline, it's going to be funny, and then he's going to start again. And Neil, well, I like him because it's so refreshing too to hear because it's like you just don't know what's going to come out of his mouth. You don't know if it's going to be funny or not. So there's a
Interesting.
little bit of this like what's going to happen. And that happens in music. When you create tension and release, that's like the verse and it releases into the chorus, and then it makes you feel like it all makes sense and it's what you expected. But the minute you do that verse and then, oh, you don't give them that, or if you're playing a groove and you take the snare out for a beat or two, now people start paying attention because you didn't do what they're expecting. And
Right.
there's science behind it. They've studied it, and our brains definitely create this expectation of what's about to happen. And then when you alter with that and when you mess with it, and I'm sure you can do it in comedy,
Oh, yeah.
you know, when you just mess with that, all of a sudden now people are paying attention, and then you can hit them with something.
Yeah, comics, we use silence and weird phrasing to toy with an audience's expectations. That's how we sort of get it done too. But I think we both
That's great.
silence in our timing, don't we? I mean, we place it
Yeah.
properly. I like that. A lot of comedians, when they're new, are afraid of silence. Silence is the dreaded nightmare that a comic is going to face. But as you get
Right.
older and more experienced, you begin to use it as a timing principle to like you said, alter their expectations.
Right. Right. And it really, like I said, they've studied it and they've measured the brain's activity when things are happening, and it's a real thing, playing with that expectation.
Yeah.
And it happens in music, it can happen in movies and comedy. I mean,
Yeah.
any art that doesn't do what you think becomes almost better, you know?
especially if it's a choice. When someone doesn't understand the form and they just mess it up, I think the audience are disappointed by that. But when somebody understands the form and purposely messes with it, I think that's brilliant. I think you're right.
That's kind of like your approach, right? You just don't know what you're doing and you just mess up all the time. And sometimes you get lucky, right?
That's what I'm like the comedy juggler.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to catch a few balls here and there.
Yeah, yeah.
Teach me about music tension. Like, can you as a drummer like not feel enough tension in the room before you want to hit that big chorus? So can you like draw it out and like do you read the tension in the room and can you adjust it, or are you stuck with the amount of beats and when you come in with the big release of tension?
Oh, good.
Well, usually by the time you're playing in front of an audience, the songs are determined already. And in Primus, we had spots where we would improv. In those spots, you can do that. You can kind of feel what you're doing, and if people are following it, it's just not as intimate as like a comedy thing, where you're talking and you can do that. The music, it's loud, there's shit's happening. So I don't think the tension release can be too in depth, mainly because you've kind of already established it in the songs. So I don't, I hope that makes
How do
sense.
you how do you build tension in a song? If you're a songwriter, how do you
So one way to do it is to figure out possibly where your high points are, and then those would be in a kind of a standard format. I feel like those would be the ones that those points will be the release. So everything around it, in front of it and after it, is now your job is to create tension. And it's not so much like aggro tension. It's just like this feeling of something's coming.
Mm.
Okay. And it's real subtle. I mean, there's a lot of great music out there where, it's super subtle. And they're songs, they go from a verse to a chorus. And you can call that a little bit of tension and release because the melody is nice, but then when they hit the chorus, it's like, oh, that's what you sing. That's the release. So it can be real subtle. Movie scores could be one way to look at it, where they when there's tension, there's just little subtle things happening, and then when something big, when it needs to come out, then you get the full melody, the full thing comes out, and you're crying, or you're
I'm
like super energetic, you're like, oh my God.
not
And the
crying. I'm
music
not crying.
no. And the music helps that.
Yeah.
Makes you feel that, and yeah, that tension is just that low underlying thing that is not complete yet.
We talk about there being a bubble, and that's Adam Bloom is his sort of terminology. And if you pop it too early, you ruin the tension. And if you pop it too late, they're not following you anymore. And so there's like a certain amount of tension you build up, and then you pop the balloon at the right spot, and then that's what gets the laughter. But it sounds
Yeah,
like it's the same in a lot of ways.
it's very similar. Yeah, and with music, it's way more subtle, I think.
Yeah.
But it is happening. And rock songs or something like that might be less obvious, but classical music or movie scores, you really can feel the I mean, listen to Jaws soundtrack. It's
Right.
like,
It's the integral part
you know,
that
two
people.
notes, and you're just like, oh shit, something's about to
I'm not
happen.
swimming. I'm not swimming anymore.
Yeah, it's
Da,
not
da.
dark out here.
Right. Well, speaking of
That's great, man.
students, what advice we can close on this? What actually we'll close on Chris has a question for you that we ask all of our guests. But
Okay.
what advice would you give to someone who's trying to learn rhythm? What
Well, they need to join my battery club. I have a club.
yes. Talk about it.
Sign up here. Click there now.
Pound that,
Yeah,
pound that like button.
yeah. And so, yeah, I'm doing a lot of teaching. I do this thing at Battery Club each week on Wednesday night at 6 on Zoom, and drummers from all over the world come on, and we do a variety of things. We do some drumming meditations, and we talk about drumming, or I might teach something. I might demonstrate how I did something. Sometimes might have a guest on.
Cool.
Uh, so yeah, and it's a way for people to kind of connect with other drummers and get inspired or learn or just be a part of something with people who are in a similar space that you're in.
Very cool.
Because I felt, when I was growing up, I was kind of I was just by myself. I just felt like I was just figuring it out by myself. And I wanted to make this available to people that they can come in and start connecting and learning and understanding more about the stuff like we're talking about, like timing and the space,
Yeah.
like you're only going to hear that kind of stuff from people who've been out doing it. And they'll start telling you how to don't do things, you know? So yeah, I teach the Battery Club, and that's a school club. And at stickacademy.com is where
Okay.
people can find out more information. And then I'm doing some courses, things that help people as well get better at their drumming and understanding composing behind the drums, talking about some of the stuff we talked about.
Cool. Chris,
Yeah.
ask your question. This is a question we ask all of our guests.
We always ask people like, so first time comedians, early comedians, if they have an hour a night to work on their craft, that is to write their material, work on their delivery, what techniques, tactics, drills, writing, free writing, what would you tell a young comedian if they had an hour a day to work?
Or even a young drummer, like someone that you're trying to teach timing to, what exercise could they do to increase that or to help that out, or is there none?
Oh no, I think a great way to understand just the basic timing is subdivisions. And that's subdividing the time into smaller parts
Okay.
so that you get one and two and three, and so that and we're not playing, but it exists. One and two and three and four, and now that will make your timing consistent if you put equal space in between the one and two and three and four, and then subdivide that. So you could do like the one and two and three and four and one E and a two E and a three E and a four E and a one E and a two E and a three E and a four E and a one E and a two E. Eventually you can just hear it in your head. And then now you're understanding the subdivisions. Now you can place notes in those subdivisions without having to count it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you always have it running through your head, like the way you were talking about saying certain things in your comedy
Right.
lines. Like if you already know, if I need to make it fast, I know just how to do it. Da, 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 versus da, 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 da. So helping the timing, I think, is understanding all the subdivisions for a drummer that happen in that same amount of space.
That's interesting. That's interesting that you have subdivisions, and in comedy we have premise, setup, punchline, and you can begin to subdivide a joke into those different elements, and each one of those elements has a timing to it. And
Right.
and if you try to make a joke in the premise or the setup, you let the air out of the balloon too early, and now we're not laughing at the end result, and so the timing is off. It's interesting.
Right. Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So from the sound of it, I could drum easily since I know how to do comedy, and you could do comedy easily since you know how to drum.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Totally.
Do you use comedy?
Totally.
Do you use humor at all? Like with your bandmates or with your family?
Well, my wife is hilarious. She's always making me laugh. I'm the straight guy.
You're the straight guy. You're the backbeat.
Yeah, I'm the backbeat.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Tim. I know your time is
Yeah,
valuable.
man.
I really appreciate your giving us this talk on timing.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
And it's so great to see your face. And
Yeah, it's been a
I'm so
while.
glad you're doing well and you're healthy and you look really good.
Cool. Thank you. So do you. Nice meeting you down there, Chris. Yeah, nice to meet you. And Mike, good to see you.
All right, we'll talk soon.
All right. Okay, man. Bye.
Cool.
I like the stuff about thinking about comedy and like peaks and troughs or whatever,
Yeah.
valleys, and thinking about where your biggest punchlines are and how you can maybe slow down a couple seconds before the big punchline to even get a bigger kind of like tension release pop.
Yeah, and I think really good comics do that naturally. I think that that's what we do. And yeah, I liked his ability to see the unity between comedy and music, where there's timing and depending on how you use the silences and use the tension, you can create different moments.
I like his advice on come see me play versus come see me perform and doing a
Right.
performance for the audience versus like your grandma has to come watch your piano recital, but it's a different mind frame when you're even performing or like giving a lecture.
Yeah, and the difference between realizing that must have been night and day for him to go, oh, I have to show them some stuff as
I
well
was
as play. Yeah,
like,
and those guys were like that. They were amazing. And like he sort of undercut the excellence of that band, but that band was top notch. That band was just, and they performed every night and they just performed it perfectly every night. And that's another thing when you have to perform the same thing over and over again. I should have maybe asked him about that. How do you find new life in an old rhythm? All right, brother.
see it.
Talk to you soon.